The year was 1922. The place was a small farmstead called Hinterkaifeck, nestled deep in the heart of Bavaria, Germany. Isolated and quiet, Hinterkaifeck was miles from the nearest town. The farm, with its sprawling fields and dense woods, was a solitary world unto itself. It was here, in this tranquil setting, that a horrifying crime would soon unfold, forever staining the tranquil countryside with fear and uncertainty. The main house at Hinterkaifeck was a sturdy two-story structure typical of Bavarian architecture. A large barn and several outbuildings stood nearby, housing livestock and farming equipment. Life on the farm was simple, dictated by the rhythms of nature and the demands of agricultural life. But beneath the veneer of rural tranquility, a palpable sense of unease had begun to settle over Hinterkaifeck. The family who called this secluded farmstead home, the Grubers, were about to become forever etched in the annals of true crime history. Little did they know that their idyllic existence was on the brink of a horrific and inexplicable end. The isolation that had once defined their world would soon become the backdrop for a terrifying encounter with evil. As the sun began to set on Hinterkaifeck, casting long shadows across the fields, something sinister was lurking in the approaching darkness. Andreas Gruber, the patriarch, was a stern and private man in his early 60s. He lived at Hinterkaifeck with his wife Casilia, their widowed daughter Victoria Gabriel, and her two young children, 7-year-old Casilia and 2-year-old Josef. Completing the family was Maria Baumgartner, the maid who had arrived just hours before the tragedy. Weeks before the murders, a series of unsettling events plagued the family. Andreas confided in neighbors about finding strange footprints in the snow leading to the farm, but none leading away. Keys went missing. Eerie noises like footsteps echoed from the attic, though it remained perpetually empty. The family felt watched, an unshakable sense of dread seeping into their daily lives. One evening, Andreas, visibly shaken, told his neighbors about discovering a strange newspaper in the kitchen. No one in the family admitted to buying it. The newspaper, like the footprints and the sounds from the attic, was a chilling omen, a harbinger of the darkness that was closing in. Fear and suspicion gripped the family. They were living on borrowed time, unaware of the horror that awaited them. On the night of March 31st, 1922, a blizzard raged outside, blanketing Hinterkaifeck in a sheet of white and muffling any sounds that might have escaped the farmhouse. One by one, the Gruber family was lured into the barn. The killer, already inside the house and hiding in the attic, had studied their routines. It began with the youngest, little Joseph. Lured by a familiar sound, perhaps an animal cry mimicking his mother, he was led into the barn and brutally murdered. His tiny body was later found concealed in hay. His grandmother, Casilia, likely followed next, drawn by the commotion, only to meet the same gruesome fate. Then came Victoria, her cries for help swallowed by the howling wind. She too was bludgeoned to death, her body left alongside her son and mother. Andreas, the family patriarch, was the last to meet his end, likely ambushed as he entered the barn. The killer, driven by a cold and calculated rage, had wiped out the entire family. Days turned into an agonizing week before the outside world realized something was terribly wrong at Hinterkaifeck. The mail went uncollected, and the family was noticeably absent from Sunday Mass. Concerned neighbors finally decided to investigate. On April 4th, a search party made the spine-chilling discovery. The sight that greeted them was nothing short of horrifying. The bodies of Andreas, Casilia, Victoria, and little Josef lay lifeless in the barn, covered with hay. Upstairs in a bedroom, the bodies of young Casilia and the maid, Maria, were discovered. Little Casilia, who had witnessed the horror, had apparently survived for several days, clutching her own hair and biting her own hand in terror. The scene was chaotic, but certain details pointed toward a chilling narrative. The killer, it seemed, hadn't left immediately after the murders. Evidence suggested they stayed at the farm, feeding the cattle, eating the family's food, and even sleeping in their beds. This wasn't a random act of violence. This was personal. Section 5. Days turn into months. The killer remains elusive. The Bavarian police, faced with a crime scene as baffling as it was brutal, launched a full-scale investigation. Every resident of the surrounding area was questioned. Drifters and vagrants passing through were sought out and interrogated. The murder weapons, a mattock and a pickaxe, were found in the barn, meticulously wiped clean. Despite extensive fingerprinting of over 100 suspects, no conclusive match was found. The killer, it seemed, had vanished like a phantom in the night, leaving behind a community gripped by fear and suspicion. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the investigation stalled. The killer, despite the extensive manhunt and numerous leads, remained elusive. The Hinterkaifeck murders had become a perplexing puzzle, a gruesome testament to the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most seemingly peaceful communities. Section 6. Whispers in the Wind, exploring the potential suspects. Theories abounded, fueled by whispers and speculation in the nearby villages. Some pointed to Carl Gabriel, Victoria's estranged husband, who had officially died in World War I, but whose body was never recovered. Could he have returned, seeking revenge over a rumored affair and his daughter's paternity, which was considered an open secret in the village? Others whispered about a possible connection to Lorenz Schlittenbauer, a neighbor who had frequently quarreled with Andreas Gruber. Schlittenbauer had even boasted to several villagers of knowing how the Grubers would die. However, despite the animosity, concrete evidence linking him to the crime remained elusive. The investigation even delved into the realm of the supernatural. Rumors circulated about the farm being cursed, haunted by a vengeful spirit seeking retribution. Locals recounted tales of strange occurrences at Hinterkaifeck, feeding the flames of superstition and fear. Section 7. The Mystery Endures, a legacy of unanswered questions. Despite numerous theories, countless interviews, and even exhumations of the bodies for further analysis with modern technology, the case remains unsolved. The identity of the Hinterkaifeck killer, lost to time and shrouded in mystery, continues to fascinate and horrify. Why were the Grubers targeted? What motivated this brutal and seemingly personal attack? Was it a crime of passion, revenge, or perhaps something even more sinister? These are questions that continue to haunt investigators and amateur sleuths alike, ensuring that the Hinterkaifeck murders remain firmly entrenched in the annals of unsolved mysteries. As Section 8. Hinterkaifeck's enduring grip, a chilling tale for the ages. The Hinterkaifeck murders stand as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the shadows, even in the most idyllic settings. The case serves as a stark illustration of the vulnerability of human life and the enduring power of mystery. Over the decades, the story of Hinterkaifeck has been the subject of countless books, documentaries, and podcasts, each attempting to shed light on the events of that fateful night. The case has captured the imagination of true crime enthusiasts worldwide, ensuring that the memory of the Gruber family and their tragic end lives on. Section 9. The Haunting Reminder. Lessons from Hinterkaifeck. The Hinterkaifeck murders, though steeped in the context of a bygone era, hold a chilling relevance even today. They remind us of the importance of vigilance, the fragility of peace, and the enduring power of the unknown. The case also highlights the limitations of justice and the profound impact that unsolved crimes can have on individuals and communities. The fear and uncertainty that gripped the residents of Hinterkaifeck in the wake of the murders serve as a stark reminder of the psychological toll that such events can inflict. Section 10. Unraveling the Enigma, a Final Word. The Hinterkaifeck murders remain an enigma, a haunting puzzle with pieces that refuse to fit neatly together. The case continues to challenge our understanding of human behavior, leaving us with more questions than answers. As technology advances and new evidence comes to light, there is always the possibility that the mystery of Hinterkaifeck may one day be solved. Until then, the story of the Gruber family will continue to fascinate, horrify, and remind us that some secrets, even in the face of our best efforts, may forever remain hidden.